Hello and welcome to Xpenser. Let me show you around. Let's jump straight in and record some expenses for my upcoming trip. So first let's just change the report name to something more reasonable, maybe June expenses. And you can edit most things by clicking on them. So for example, notes here. Okay. Reports are a way for you to organize your expenses. So for example, we have one for June expenses, personal expenses. Maybe I'll add one for client X here. You can create reports for your upcoming trips per client, etc. Going back to the expenses page, I had to mail some things to the client. So let's record the postage here. Postage. And that was $8.45, and I can add any notes here. So I might say marketing materials. Okay. So that's recorded. I also had breakfast with my colleague John to discuss it. So let's add that here. So that would be meals and entertainment, $23.13. Tags are a way for me to organize my expenses if I want to search for them later, etc. You can choose to ignore them, but for example, here I might add cash to indicate that I paid for this with cash. And in notes, I'll just put in with John. All right. So that's coming along well. Now, let's add a receipt for this breakfast that I had with John. So I'll click on add here and upload the receipt. There's my breakfast receipt, and off it goes. So now my expense and its receipt are recorded. Okay, a few other things. I booked a flight for this trip, and I received an email itinerary and receipt here, which is what we're looking at. So to record this, I can simply forward it to Xpenser. So I'm going to do is forward to r@xpenser.com, where R is for receipt, and the subject of the email describes the actual expense. So I might say airfare, and this was $689.22, San Diego to Paris. Okay, and that's it. When I hit send, Xpenser grabs the email, extracts the receipt, and enters it into your expenses. Okay, so that's how you record some basic things. But a lot of the time when you're traveling, you're on the road and you don't have access to the web. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to record expenses there as well. So if we go over to the account page, this is where you would register your various addresses and devices. So you can add as many email addresses you want, and you can download the iPhone and Android apps, set up your SMS, text messaging, IM, Twitter, voice, etc. Once we have this set up, then you can use any of these things to record your expenses on the go. So for example, say you arrive in Paris, and since you can't see my cell phone here, I'm just going to use a simple entry screen, but this would be the same whether you submit it from email, SMS, or any other device. So let's do taxi, 27 euros, airport to hotel. Okay. So here I'm using EUR, which is the currency code for euros, and when Xpenser receives this, it'll actually convert the amount from euros to my base currency, which is dollars. So we should go over here, and we're able to see the airfare that I forwarded earlier with its receipt and the taxi that I just recorded. Okay. Let's add some more here. For example, let's add one that has a tag. So I might say, for example, lunch, $47.89 with Pierre. Let's make that a euro because we're still on our trip. And I can add a tag here. So I might say, for example, Amex, meaning I paid for the American Express. The pound here is what indicates tags. Again, you can choose to ignore tags if you want. There we go. So we got that as well. Now, if we go back to our expenses page, we'll see all the things that we've recorded here nicely. One interesting thing, the lunch actually is not bolded. You see the others are bolded, but lunch is not. That's because lunch is not a category that my firm supports. That's not part of my categories. So I need to categorize this. What I'll do is I'll click on it, and I'll categorize it as meals and entertainment. So when I do that, now my company can accept this because it's in the correct category, and Xpenser's learned this. So the next time I do lunch, let's do another lunch here. Lunch 15 with Joe. Xpenser's smart enough to automatically categorize it as meals and entertainment. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you to record expenses, but still be in line with your corporate categories. Okay. We can do a couple other things. Let's enter some mileage here. So mileage, 38 miles, and I'll say client visit. Okay. Now, when we enter the keyword miles here, Xpenser knows that this is a mileage entry and converts it based on the amount we've defined. So let's enter that. I can also record income or deposit. So I might say, for example, income plus 500 consulting. So this plus here indicates that this is a positive amount as opposed to an expense. So I'll hit enter. And again, going back to my expense report here, we'll have everything lined up and properly set to go. Okay, and you'll see you're able to see, for example, the full amount of keywords here. These are all the things you can include in your expenses to affect different actions. So we've looked at the deposit. We can do mileage. Time tracking is also available, as well as currency conversion. All right, going back to my expenses, I can do things like search. So for example, by tag, by amount, I might say, show me everything that's more than $25. Okay, and off it goes. I can also do things like print this out if I want to get a nice printout. This printout will include not only my expenses, but also their associated receipts. And I can download that as a PDF if I like, or as an Excel. I can also aggregate by category, so show me all these things aggregated by the categories my company supports. And when I'm done, when I'm ready to go, I can submit this for approval. So I do this by clicking Submit for Approval. What this does is it figures out who my manager is, who needs to approve this, and then I can include any notes here. So I'll say June trip to Paris, and hit Submit. And when I hit Submit, that expense report is copied to my manager's account, and he or she receives an email saying, please review this expense report and can take the next actions. That's a basic overview of Xpenser. Take a look around and get back to us with any feedback. Feedback@xpenser.com. Thank you.